AJ, go away. Happy Friday. I'm just going to start off the pod right away. Oh, please. No, thank you. Let's stop. The vibes in this studio are very weird today. I'm just going to announce that now for everyone watching. It's going to be an interesting Friday show. But first, let me tell you guys about Zoom Care. Never sit in a doctor's office again. You've heard that, right? If you hate going to the doctor like the rest of us, check out Zoom Care. The one great thing we can take away from this pandemic is the ability to do more things from the comfort of our own home. Nobody likes sitting in a doctor's office waiting for hours, or even going to the doctor for that matter, especially my experience being a transplant in Denver. It's been really hard to find actual doctors that don't have wait lists before I can actually go in. Zoom Care takes care of that issue, which is I'm so excited for, because I've lived here for 7 years and still don't have like an actual doctor that I go to because it's been so complicated. So Zoom Care is here to fix those problems. Visit zoomcare.com today to get started. That's ZOOMCARE.com. There's nothing better than getting a diagnosis from your doc sitting in your own living room. Remember, supporting our partners is supporting us. So help this partner out. Check them out. They need to see an increase in video visits from Colorado. So definitely check out Zoom Care today for all the details you need. Welcome into the Denver Sports Podcast presented by Breckenridge Brewery. Who has a Breck brew?
Upstairs.
Yeah.
Upstairs, I had a Breckenridge hat upstairs
That went well.
as well, Allie. Yeah.
Wow,
I have
guys.
a hat on.
Shirt. I'm rocking the Juice Drop shirt.
Okay, well,
that totally counts.
I have my
Please don't fall.
I have my Breckenridge Brewery hat. That counts.
All right, guys. We almost always have something. See, and Drew is rocking the Juice Drop shirt. They just are releasing a new IPA sampler pack. People are so excited about that. Get to try all of their really great IPAs, including that Juice Drop. If you want to go check out. Oh, and also, I also want to mention Breck Brew is doing this really awesome thing. I forgot what it's called. It's about Michael Porter Jr., right? Or no, it's the Vanilla Porter Jr. for Valentine's Day. And don't start this yet. It's about the Vanilla Porter Jr. for Valentine's Day. You could get a whole meal catered around Vanilla Porter Jr. with an incredible chocolate cake. Oh my God, it sounds so good. Definitely check that out, especially if you're watching the Nuggets and the Avs play on Valentine's Day. So there you go. Drink a Vanilla Porter Jr. while watching Michael Porter Jr. Don't ruin my reads, AJ. Clearly, you guys can tell. You know from the headline, we are talking about the worst trades in Denver sports history. This topic comes to us because of what happened this past weekend with the Colorado Rockies trading Nolan Arenado. Drew, Patrick, Michaela have done such a great job with this coverage. Go check all of that out on DNVR_Rockies on Twitter, our YouTube shows, their podcasts. They've done, this is a crazy thing that happened, and they've done such a great job with coverage, especially with the press conferences. So that is why we're talking about this today. You know what? I don't know who to start with first because, Drew, you said there's a lot over at Coors Field. So let's start with Dre. Let's start with Dre first.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
It's hard to beat the Nolan Arenado trade because on top of their best player, the Rockies also offered up $50 million. So that's fun. That's hard. I mean, that's like starting a race and your opponent is starting with $50 million. Like that's hard for me to beat. I don't have that cash flow available to me, but I will try, because I will argue that the worst trade in Broncos history fairly recently, brought on by one Josh McDaniels, is going to be the worst trade made by any team in Denver sports history. And that is because I will argue this has cost Denver 2 Super Bowls. And that is McDaniel's first draft. He's already traded away Jay Cutler. He's already squandered 2 first-round picks on Noshawn Moreno and Robert Ayers. Then the second round comes around, and at pick number 37, that imbecile decides to trade away the rights to his future first-round pick, which will turn out to be Earl Thomas, the greatest safety of his generation. And the Broncos get Alphonso Smith, a no-name cornerback out of Wake Forest that will be cut the next offseason. Earl Thomas will beat those Broncos in a Super Bowl 3 years later. Earl Thomas is also not on the field when Broncos' actual free safety, Raheem Moore, is on the field to flail away on what should have been another run to the Lombardi.
Just kidding. I don't want to be on the show anymore.
Earl Thomas, the greatest safety of his generation, doesn't let that Raheem Moore play happen. And if he's on the Broncos instead of the Seahawks are probably not even in the Super Bowl. The Broncos win that Super Bowl easy because they're not playing against the generational defense. So there you go. Worst trade in Denver sports history is the Broncos trading away what would become the future first-round pick for Earl Thomas for Alphonso Smith, who was cut, again, a year later, which is basically unheard of for a second-round pick in the NFL.
AJ, you said you don't want to be on this pod anymore. Why? Did that just bring you pain?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point that it was an awful deal, but you can't just automatically assume Earl Thomas would have been the pick for Denver. Like, it's just, you can't just automatically drop him in there.
That's right.
It was an atrocious deal, but the backbone of it costing the Broncos and all this,
well, you could certainly argue that if Earl Thomas isn't on the Seahawks, because they don't have that pick in the first place, that at least one Super Bowl there is swung by that one trade alone. Yeah, you're maybe. Right. It's a little more of a stretch, both Super Bowls, but one seems pretty clear to me.
People in the comments are agreeing with Dre. I am going to say, in the nicest way possible, Nighthawk, go away. Nicest way possible. We love you, but go away. Eric, how do you feel about that?
Just what? How do I feel about the Broncos trade? You cut out on me here.
I think that is where she was going with it.
Yeah, I mean, as a person who went to that Super Bowl where the Broncos played the Seahawks, I'd like to think that in Dre's alternate reality where we were going to collect the Lombardi Trophy because Earl Thomas wasn't part of the 48-7 dismantling of the Broncos.
Really came down to their safety.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more though with that move up in the first draft or the first round. At the time, I was like, "Oh hell yeah, McDaniel's making moves." Although every time he drafted or traded back up to the first round, it was a disaster. It was Tim Tebow or Alphonso Smith. Oh, what a nightmare! What a nightmare!
Paxton Lynch was a trade up.
Paxton Lynch.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Yeah, just as a policy, do not trade back up into the first. I know it everybody is watching the first round on ESPN and you're just wanting action to happen, but it turns out it's never a good idea.
All right, Drew.
Did Baltimore trade up for Lamar Jackson?
Well, as the Broncos,
yeah.
Specifically as the Broncos. Other teams can do all kinds of things.
Now we're getting more specific. I see.
Yeah. I'm specifically Denver sports. The Broncos cannot trade up into the first round. I don't know what it is. There's some sort of bad mojo surrounding it, but just stand pat. Just hang out in that second round. Come on, let's go.
Drew, you said can you guys hear me again or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to you. A lot of people in the comments are saying you can't beat this Nolan Arenado trade when it comes to Rockies. But when it comes to Rockies, if you would have let me finish, Andre, when it comes to Rockies trades, this Nolan Arenado one, the latest, is the worst. Do you agree with that?
So probably, almost certainly. There's a couple of things here. There's one of the Hey, look, I called it the night it happened. I said this is the worst day in the history of the franchise, right? And so, like, I think it's almost certain to go down that way. However, it just happened.
Yeah, we gotta see.
And we really don't know. Like, Dre was just able to run through like all of the things that happened because
The consequences.
trade. Right. We really don't. And the biggest element of that is the $150 million over the next 6 years that the Rockies have saved.
Yeah.
Now, nobody in the world has faith that they're going to spend that well, but until they don't, there are, I do. It's the worst trade in Rockies history. It certainly is. The only reason why I pause for a minute is because there are just so many other bad ones, you guys. There are just, the thing is, like, we've got a group of pretty well-educated sports dignitaries among us. You all know Larry Walker. We've got a shirt. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Can any of you name a single member of the St. Louis Cardinals who came to Colorado in return for Larry Walker?
Nighthawk?
No, it doesn't. That wasn't what they got in the trade, though. They got the money to sign Dexter Fowler.
And that's kind of why I mentioned the money that they just freed up in the Nolan deal. Like,
yeah, but that happened like right away.
True. But, well, they got Dexter Fowler right away, but then it took him 2 years to get to the big leagues. That was so that they could sign him in the draft.
Right. That's but the money that they saved, they used it right away. Is what I'm saying. There wasn't like we have to wait 18 months for them to sign a high school kid. They used that right away to sign him to keep him from going to Miami. So if in a month from now we're talking about extensions for Trevor Story and John Gray, again, that's why I go, well, maybe I was a little too harsh about him doing it just for cheap. Now, I don't think so they can spend all that money for them to finish in fourth place anyway?
I'm not.
That's the Rockies way, baby.
Yeah, buddy. Like, no, it just you can do stuff with the money that could, in hindsight. Again, nobody thought after they traded Troy Tulowitzki. Look at the return on that deal. Now, you can probably name some of those players, but not because you like them, because they ended up being so damn frustrating, particularly Jeff Hoffman, right?
I mean, Hoffman was at least a blue chip prospect at the time of the trade, and you know what you're getting when you trade. What did the Expos get for trading Pedro Martinez? Tony Vargas Jr. or Tony Armas was a top prospect at the time.
Right.
Like, everybody, like, you know what you're getting when you trade for futures.
Right.
The futures.
The Tulo deal is far more justifiable.
Exactly. Like, you got a top prospect, you got an MLB reliever in Miguel Castro, and then you got a who knows, maybe something magical happens with Jesus Tinoco, where it turned out the magic happened in, like, high A ball or whatever it was that he tore up that one year. And but it was like, at least you understood there was something that made sense. Like, that's a classic futures deal that happens in every sport other than the NFL.
Right. Like, that's what you do if you're, like, legitimately... I mean, if you acknowledge the fact that you're in a rebuild where you're like, we need to restock the cupboard here. We need to get some other team's farm system involved. Like,
Except the thing of it is, while that's all true about the trade in a vacuum, again, back to the point of what went on around it, what did they do with the money they saved? 2 years later, they went to back-to-back postseasons, and it was around players that a lot of people... Now, it didn't have anything to do with the return that they got in terms of players. It did have to do with some of the money that they spent, and nobody in 2015 was going, oh, yeah, these guys about to spend this money right and take this team to back-to-back postseasons. So I get why people are like... Again, the return is objectively bad, and it's not like you go back and go, well, since they made it to back-to-back postseasons, the Tulo trade return is better, but... in a way, certainly in terms of, derailing your franchise or just lasting forever in this horrible space of awfulness. Like, you don't know until the other shoe drops in terms of what they do with that money. But no, this is definitely the worst. I love you, Patrick, but no, nobody is into these trades where some rando for some guys when they were in the minor leagues, and then Sean Figgins has a nice little solid 12-year career, and like, yeah, he maybe could have been a Rocky. Nobody ever remembers that ever having happened. But nice footnote in history. But these ones where the Rockies have just had a habit of losing every trade where they move out a star player, and so it's it's all about what makes a trade bad to you. The holiday trade again, that one, but that one ended up being good at the time. People hated it too. So
well, people were stupid because Cargo was the top prospect and Houston Street was a legit closer at the time. Like that was an easy return to digest.
Totally,
that was good times. Yeah. I would love Cargo and Houston Street in return for Nolan. Good times.
I spent some time on Austin Gomber's baseball reference page today, and
it sure is there.
That happened.
That's what I've been doing. No. It looks all right. I think he'll be good.
No.
I think he'll be okay.
What about this Welker guy that's going to rise up and play third base?
Colton Welker. No, it's Ryan McMahon and Brendan Rodgers are the guys who could Trevor Story this thing into making you not forget about it, but kind of go, okay, well, I'm at least going to enjoy watching these guys play. So, but for right now, this is, it's the worst trade. It's probably the worst trade in Denver sports history. It might be the worst trade in the 150-year history of Major League Baseball.
I feel like I honestly thought we were starting this show with a tacit understanding that the Nolan trade is the worst in Denver history, and we were gonna bathe in the misery of the other sports along the way. I didn't realize this was gonna be a conversation.
Hey man, I've been doing this an hour a day for a week. Okay.
No, I totally understand. As soon as this gets done, we're doing it again.
Right. But
honestly. When I texted Drew about what the prompt was going to be today, he was like, "Oh, lovely." It's like, I know, Drew, but this is the biggest news of the week, and we were going to have to talk about this news in some way. So like AJ said, why not reminisce on some of the other bad trades that have happened in Denver sports history and then look at the teams where they are today. But all right. We'll hop on to Ball Arena people, Pepsi Center people after the break. But before we get to that, you could hear AJ and Eric bickering a little bit earlier. And what they're bickering about is the Goaties. The Goaties are back. You have until Sunday to go vote. We've got a bunch of different categories. We've got best social media, best dress, call of the year, newcomer of the year, quote of the year, play of the year, moment of the year, athlete of the year, and team of the year. And what AJ and Eric are bickering about is newcomer of the year, and it being MPJ or Andre Burakovsky.
Oh my God! You know how you know that it's MPJ is because he's referred to universally with a nickname. That's how you know that once a nickname has been adopted by a large group of people, it means that he is.
What the hell does that even matter?
Because it means that you've adopted him into your heart. Like, you only give nicknames to those that earn them. Like, nobody gives a nickname to a guy that like Andre. Like, people call him Burra, but like not colloquially, and nobody knows who Andre Burakovsky is unless you watch all of the Avs games. Which, I mean, everybody knows who MPJ is. MPJ is a potential.
Michael saying it's not nickname of the year award.
No, I know, but I'm telling you, like, once somebody has a nickname, that's how you know they have entered a sphere in the collective conscious of a sports community.
Such an interesting point, because I swear in 2019, when he was also a candidate for newcomer of the year,
but he didn't play.
A bit baffling that again he was going by MPJ back then as well. Is that not correct?
He didn't play though. He
was going by MPJ though back then.
He won. This year,
been going by MPJ since he was a star high schooler in 2017. Could we say that?
Yeah, because he's that level of player.
Is that fair to say? Okay.
No. Stop clapping, you buffoon. The idea that he's that level of player. Like, he's that dude. Like, he should have been the number one overall pick in the NBA draft.
Wow, like, so it's definitely he should definitely win newcomer of the year because 12 teams don't know what they're doing.
13.
Well, because he entered into Colorado when he shouldn't have. Like,
it was 12. The Clippers had 2 picks.
True.
And for not making that pick, Doc Rivers got fired and shipped out.
Good for them firing Doc.
Right.
You guys can hear a whole discussion, and you may be swayed right now with AJ's argument, but Burrow wasn't even the person AJ voted for or defended.
I know. This is what it is to work.
This should have been Daniel Bard. Like, Daniel Bard was the best sports story in Colorado last year, and he's going to walk out of here with no awards because everybody's pissed at the Rockies.
Rockies fans big mad. Bard getting shut out. Larry Walker not going to win moment of the year. Rockies fans just walking
Larry
around
Walker's
like, you get nothing.
Larry Walker is very close, or was a little closer, to best dressed. He's up there in second place.
His SpongeBob shirt is going to win an award.
By the way, my fiance was upset that Larry Walker was getting consideration for this because she said he looked like he was dressed like a 5-year-old. He should not be rewarded for that. This is what I woke up to today. She was mad about this.
That shirt entered the Hall of Fame. Like that's a shirt that will be remembered for all of time.
I was like, this is the only time that somebody will ever remember what somebody else has worn when they got inducted into the Hall of Fame. It is an all-time great moment.
All-time great.
Actually hilarious though. Will Parks saw the poll, quote tweeted it, said, "I already won, give me the award." I don't think he realized that he wasn't winning at all.
Well, he's been playing for the Broncos for a while, so his concept of winning has had to change over the years.
He literally quote tweeted it, and I'm like, "You're at 90." He did get some people to go vote because he was a lot less, but yep, it's Jared Bednar once again in the lead. Just a reminder for everyone watching this, you have until Sunday to vote, and then you get to hear all of our discussions about this, and we get to see who wins Goaties in 2020. It's going to be a great one. There's also a bunch of other awesome categories. So definitely go check that out over on Twitter.
Definitely don't vote for freaking MPJ for Newcomer of the Year.
Why? He only started playing last year. He won. He was one of the top players in the bubble. He won.
Okay, so who should have been nominated last year instead of MPJ? Since it's very interesting that he was nominated twice.
This is my biggest problem with MPJ is that he got nominated twice because some argument about how, well, he didn't play that much. Well, then why the hell did you nominate him?
He was preemptively nominated the year before. He shouldn't have been nominated the year before.
He got preemptively.
This one,
okay, so I preemptively nominated Bowen Byram.
We could, or I would have argued for Cale Makar being.
Cale Makar already won it. You can't win Newcomer of the Year 2 years in a row.
Well, there you go.
Like the Grammy for Best New Artist, like only time ever, back to back.
Yeah, like what the hell?
We not know
what Newcomer means.
No new people
guys,
this year.
Save this content. We're gonna have to do a TDSP reacting to all of the Goaties night, where you get to see the conversations we had about who was nominated, why they were nominated. And those were really great discussions, but I think we'll have to have some reaction afterwards, and maybe that'll be a TDSP episode of that. The big game happening this weekend. Bar is going to be open. It's going to be a great time. Definitely come down and
Definitely.
Check out the big game.
The big game bar.
Yeah, I mean, see where that was going.
I feel like I
got that.
Yeah, you're back.
I'm on Ethernet. How is this possible? I'm literally not even on a Wi-Fi.
I don't know.
Big game. Come down to the bar. Check it out. It is going to be awesome. And while you are watching the big game, obviously, the Super Bowl is going to suck for Broncos. It's the Chiefs and Tom Brady. Like, ew. But you can make it fun by going over on DraftKings Sportsbook and making some money off of it. Andre, are there any props or anything you're liking for this Sunday?
Yeah, I think both Kelsey over 100 receiving yards and the Chiefs win at plus 190, and Mahomes over 300 passing yards and the Chiefs to win at plus 150 are really juicy. And there are like 500 props on this game. It's insane. I'm loving it.
Steph in the comments saying Wi-Fi should be 2020 Rookie of the Year. Man,
I don't know. I still wouldn't vote for it.
2020, we have really had to deal with all the Wi-Fi issues. Michael saying DNVR bar for newcomer of the year. I like that idea.
Hell yeah.
See, that's an actual newcomer.
Oh my God.
I gave you some great bets. We'll be having Big Bets Bonanza on Sunday, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. It's going to be a blast. Come watch the Super Bowl with us, and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use that promo code DNVR to get a shot at doubling your money if a touchdown is scored in Sunday's game. That's promo code DNVR to get a shot at doubling your money during Sunday night's season finale. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. All right. Moving back over to worst trades in Denver sports history. Ball Arena people, Pepsi Center people. Let's start off with you, Eric. What is the worst trade the Nuggets have made?
So the worst trade the Nuggets have made in recent history under this current administration is the night on it was on draft night where the Nuggets saw fit to trade back to try to get two picks, and they traded what pick ended up being Donovan Mitchell. In exchange, they got Trey Lyles, and then they also used the pick that they got to get Tyler Lyden. If you don't know who Tyler Lyden is, that means you're not related to him. He's not in the league anymore. He panned out not at all. He was not a great player. It sent me personally into a complete spiral that night. That's actually the night that I first came to know of Adam Mares, because I was awash in a sea of confusion, anger. I didn't know where to go or turn. So I looked on the internet, and there was a guy doing an emergency podcast about what had just gone down in the trade. And he talked me through it. He talked me off a ledge. I owe my life to him, because I don't know what I would have done after that night. I was very despondent. That was a bad trade. That was not a good trade. There was another bad trade. Tim Connolly is an excellent GM when it comes to drafting and certain aspects of his jobs. He's not great when it comes to signing contracts or when it comes to making trades. He also traded Jusuf Nurkic. Unfortunately, he traded Jusuf Nurkic, who forced his hand. This is the problem with the Jusuf Nurkic trade, is that Jusuf was such an overgrown Bosnian baby. He stopped participating in the Nuggets games. He actually left the arena at halftime, and he completely forced his hand because Nikola Jokic had risen up and taken his starting position. So he started pouting about it. And then the Nuggets lost all of their leverage when it came to having to trade him. So they had to not only ship out himself, Jusuf Nurkic, and we got back Mason Plumlee in division to the Portland Trailblazers. We also had to package a first-round pick to make this happen. At the time, it didn't seem so devastating, and actually now it doesn't seem as devastating because Jusuf Nurkic is a big loser. But all the same, like, that was not a great trade. Tim Connolly's had a couple decent trades, but man, that if you ever find yourself litigating the validity of Tim Connolly being a good GM in the city of Denver, Colorado, you will always, always, always face you could have had Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell arguments. So that was a rough one.
Yeah. You built the Utah Jazz and the Nuggets.
But the thing is, though, the Nuggets are better than both of those teams, so it's sort of a moot point. But it doesn't feel good to know.
Didn't we make the argument of best GM, and a lot of people thought of Tim Connolly in that? Joe Sakic, Tim Connolly currently.
He's a fantastic GM because
we didn't even have real talk. We didn't really talk much about the trade issues that he's had.
Because his drafting is so good, it erases it in a lot of ways. Like the Nuggets are not, miring in despair because of these trades. Like, they've been able to move forward. Every player that's on this team has been acquired by Tim Connolly in some form or fashion. And that team went to the Western Conference Finals. They've gotten as far as any Nuggets team has previously gotten. So it's hard to say that he's not good at his job, but he's not good at making trades. I will say that. He's not good on the phones, and for some reason he insists on trading in the division, which is just so maddening and just does not make internet discussions any fun when it comes to that topic.
Internet discussions aren't fun.
That one specifically is not fun.
My favorite fun fact about the Tyler Lyden Donovan Mitchell thing is that was the night Jimmy Butler got traded.
Yeah.
And I was in Chicago that night pretending to be a Bulls fan at a draft party. And Jimmy Butler got traded like a few minutes into that draft, and I just like slowly worked my way out of there because I was getting increasingly angry.
Oh my god!
And then the next night, the Avs drafted Cale Makar.
Incredible. That's right.
So all is well.
Man,
good weekend for Ball Arena still.
Yeah. The one thing I will say, though, if you do find yourself in an internet discussion where people say that he traded Rudy Gobert for cash, which is not that's not wrong, but that was like one of his first like 4 days on the job, and it was that was really more came from the ownership than Tim Conley himself. But that Tyler Lyden trade that was smart.
Dude, especially because then Gary Harris deteriorates right after that too. So you would have had your starting 2 guard, and maybe Gary as your star 6 man, and like the argument. I mean, who knows?
The argument always comes into play that Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray would be sort of occupying the same space and be a little bit of a conflict. But obviously, it's never a bad thing to have 2 good players and try to figure out what to do with them as opposed to
like you would still roll that dice today. You would try and let them figure it out.
No doubt. Or you would trade one of them and then get a wing.
And of course their real target was OG Anunoby, who misses the drop to the Lyden pick by 2 picks. But again, OG instead of Lyden and Trey Lyles. Who knows where this team is at right now?
Absolutely, and that was Masai Ujiri, old friend Masai Ujiri, who ended when the musical chairs stopped, the Nuggets had egg on their face, and he was laughing all the way to the bank. Unbelievable.
Are there any Nuggets trades from history that you would dig into?
I see. There's some being put in the chat. Like none of them. I mean, in a way, like the Carmelo Anthony trade was a good trade / bad trade in that. I mean, it was a great trade in that we got amazing.
Don't get Drew
for
started.
It. We got amazing value for it. The thing that sucked is that we had to do that. Chauncey Billups was just a toss away in that trade. Like he was just not even a consideration, and that really derailed what was a wonderful story happening with the Nuggets at the time. As far as apparently in the 80s, the Nuggets traded a first-round pick that was later used for future Hall of Famer Clyde Drexler. Oof, as I say. But to be honest, I'm not super aware of the wheelings and dealings in the front office of the Nuggets in the history. I imagine there's a lot of terribly egregious decisions that were made because the Nuggets, as we all know, were allowed to sort of operate in silence for so many years because I would not call them the darling of Denver. But I mean, now that the Nuggets are, in the conversation and we're talking, what the franchise has turned into, it's like, you just can't get past that conversation, that Tyler Lyden conversation. That thing's going to reverberate for years and years and years.
For sure. Yeah.
What about the Avs, AJ? So
I guess I'll just go, since Eric kind of did the same thing. I'll do a current administration worst deal.
Yeah.
It's tough to find. Certainly nothing in the last 4 years for Sakic has really been egregious. Derek Brassard at the deadline and Mikhail Bodker, those things didn't work out, but they weren't really that big of a deal.
Right.
The Ian Cole deal. Come on, who cares?
Yeah.
I think that the 2 that really stand out as big trade blemishes for Sakic were the second round picks that he gave up for Brad Stewart and Reto Barrow. Those were rough. Brad Stewart at the end of his career couldn't play anymore. That one was compounded by the fact that the Avs gave him a 2-year extension in training camp before the guy ever played a meaningful game for the team, and that was rough. Reto Barrow was a second round pick, and second round picks are valuable. And the Avs just used 2 of them to get Devon Taves, a top 4 defenseman, for comparison's sake. And they used 1 of them to get Reto Barrow, a backup goaltender who wasn't doing anything. He was the 3rd goaltender at the time. And they got him to be their backup of the future at the end of Jaguar's career. And that did not go well. Did not go well at all. Reto Barrow out of the league within a couple of years. So,
how high of a second rounder was that too?
It ended up being.
It wasn't absurdly high.
No, it wasn't like the Connor Timmons pick where it was like the first pick of the second round, but I think it ended up being top 10 in the second round, like the 10th pick. So it was a top 50 pick. It hurt. Not that the Avs have been able to draft out of the second round, but if you're gonna trade away, that's bad value. But honestly, these are all kind of peanuts compared to I think the big oof in Avs history. There's a number of bad deals over the years. Acquiring Bates Battaglia for Radim Vrbata was bad, but that at the time seemed like a nothing deal. And then Vrbata went on to play 1,000 games in the NHL, and it was like, oh, could have had that guy. He might have helped. Tanguay for Jordan Leopold, that didn't go very well. Tanguay, they brought him back. He had a really, really good career, and Jordan Leopold got named Jordan Leo Prone because he was always hurt in Colorado and never was the same player. But again, none of this really is on the level of the Chris Drury trade.
I was just gonna say
that's the one. I mean, they got Derek Morris, Jeff Shanson, Dean McAmmond in return for Drury and Stefan Yell, and those are two key players. If you go back and you watch their 0-1 Cup run, Chris Drury was an extremely important player, especially after the Forsberg injury. He was the guy that gave them all of their secondary scoring in the Cup finals. And Stefan Yell was the ideal. The Avs have basically been looking for Stefan Yell ever since they got rid of him. They've been looking for another version of him this entire time. Yeah. You ask Avs fans today, what does the team desperately need? It's a Stefan Yell type. So getting an underrated part of that deal was getting rid of Yell as well as Chris Drury. And Chris Drury, that was personal. That was one of the things that Pierre Lacroix did not do well, where Drury had the minorest of minor disputes over money, and Lacroix was like, he was a hard line on that guy. You didn't fight with him about money, otherwise you got shipped out of town. And Drury was the ultimate example of that. He should have been a long-time Av. And the saltiness about that deal from Drury's end, he was so pissed off and remains to this day pissed off enough about it that when the Avs had their Cup alumni party or whatever, that dude did not come back to Denver.
Crazy.
And that is a burned bridge with Chris Drury, who is in the news today because he just got promoted to assistant to the general manager in New York. Jeez. Good for him.
And we also were robbed of a bunch more images of him playing in the Little League World Series. Such a bummer.
Yeah. And they got Derek Morris in return, and Derek Morris was an up-and-coming, really young defenseman, a good puck mover. He had a really bright future. The guy went on to have a really good career, but Lacroix thought he was getting a stud, like a high-end defenseman. And when that was obviously not the case, he moved him for, I think, Chris Gratton and Aussie Vannon into Arizona within 18 months. And so it just kept getting worse. You just keep degrading the pieces as they go. And it was awful. That Drury trade you ask Avs fans, what's the worst trade in Avs history? Almost all of them will point to the Drury trade. Because that was Drury was beloved. He was huge in that Cup run, and he was young. He won the Calder over Milan Hajduk. Those guys were Milan Hajduk, Alex Tanguay, Chris Drury should have been the face of the next wave of Avs in the 2000s.
Exactly. Yeah,
and they all got two of those three guys got moved out for nothing.
I drove to New York shortly after those seasons, and when we went through Trumbull, Connecticut, that's all. I was just like, Chris Drury. That's all.
Did you know he pitched in the Little League World Series?
I did. I'd seen TV. So yep.
Pretty spectacular career. Wins the Little League World Series, wins a Hobie Baker Award, wins a Calder Trophy as best rookie, wins a Stanley Cup. The guy got tagged as a winner when he was 12 and then just kept living up to it the rest of his life.
Incredible. He really did kind of cripple those Avs, though, that next generation. I mean, it kind of stunted that growth.
All of the deals that I've mentioned, you keep Tanguay, you keep Drury, you keep Radim Vrbata. Marek Svatos doesn't suffer that devastating shoulder injury. That's your whole generation of the next Avs as Sakic was aging out. That's the whole generation. That should have been, those guys all should have been around for at least half of a decade together. And it just didn't come to fruition. It was that was the era where Lacroix, all of the shine came off of him as a GM. He was master. Like, the reason I don't have Theo Fleury on here, Theo Fleury was great for the Avs. He was a point per game player. Ultimately they didn't win the cup, but they go to the Western Conference Finals, and Fleury was great for them. You know, they missed out on 1,000 games of Robin Regeer, but it was a fair trade-off, I felt, for a guy that could have put them over the top for the cup that year. The Deadmarsh trade, Adam Deadmarsh was important. He was beloved. But they got freaking Rob Blake in return. Yep. That's an easy, you get a guy that today is one of the best defensemen in franchise history, arguably the best that they've ever had.
Yeah, Pierre Lacroix was not scared about making a trade. Every year he made some enormous trade. Like every year we were like, all right, we're getting near the deadline. It's Pierre Lacroix time. Like, what do we got on tap? So you got to imagine, like, there's going to be some stinkers in there because that man was not afraid to step up to the plate.
Yeah.
And we had some podcasts about best GM in Colorado sports history and really went into detail of his history and his career. And that was a really great episode. So definitely go check that one out.
For my money, at this point, still the best GM in Avs or in Colorado sports history.
Yeah, I think so too.
Is in danger of being surpassed if certain things happen in this current Avs generation, but guy was nails.
So even with that, it is undecided Nolan Arenado is the worst one out of all of them?
I mean, this is a Hall of Fame player for baseballs.
Okay, I was just trying to wrap it up, make sure we all knew. Okay.
There is a chance Nolan just is like COVID Nolan that we saw last year in 60 games, and Montero or Gomber becomes an all-star, and then all of a sudden it's one of the best trades in Rockies history. It seems like a long
There's
a long
non-0% chance that happens.
Did Colorado make hallucinogens legal?
Yes, they did.
Actually, I think so. Denver did, didn't they? Yeah.
I would
forgot
still
about the
miss
time they traded
$50
Ubaldo Jimenez for Drew Pomeranz and Alex White. Totally forgot about that one. See?
Yeah, but that blew up for both teams, and Drew Pomeranz was the 5th overall pick like the year before.
But
there's a difference between what's justifiable at the time and what's just a terrible trade because you did it and it made your team way worse and you got nothing out of it. But
how many good trades have there been at 20th and Blake? Is it just...
There's actually a decent number.
Herman Marquez.
Herman Marquez was a great trade. The Holiday trade, as it turned out, again, I think was a really good trade. Acquiring DJ LeMahieu for two guys who wouldn't be in baseball. And, for Ian Stewart and Tyler Colvin. No, wait, it was like, no, that went the other way. And Casey Weathers, that was it. So there have been some pretty solid ones, but there have also been these epic disasters. So.
Yeah.
Just don't get too good as a Colorado Rockies player. You're going to headline an absolutely devastating trade.
Get you out of there.
Yeah, you got to be in that Brad Hop zone.
yeah.
275 with a good slugging percentage, but don't go above that, okay?
Just stick right.
Do not exceed Brad Hop's career. Garrett Atkins, that's about as high as we can go here. Settle down, please.
The offseason isn't over. We could be talking about the Trevor Story trade being worse than this.
Right.
I doubt it, man. There's no way they pay $50 million to go and get rid of him.
No need for that.
Oh, that's the worst part for me. It's just literally $50 million. Just take him. Literally, we'll pay you to take him. Like that. That when I heard the news,
just so everybody knows, in case you don't follow it very closely, and just so everybody knows, the Rockies save about $150 million over the course of the deal. I get that the optics of sending the $50 million in cash along with it to basically pay him for this first year for the Cardinals looks really, really bad. But that's like, it's like talking about the price of a lottery ticket where you won way more money. Like they do save money on the deal. I know it looks bad. There are a million reasons. You should be mad at this deal for them saving money. And so people get confused when I say this was about saving money. And they go, what do you mean, though? They sent $50 million. It's like, I know. But ultimately, they're saving a lot of money over the course of the deal. It's
saving money.
They did everything they could to literally say goodbye to possibly the best third baseman in MLB history. It's just like...
But yes, saving money in this case means that you just don't spend it on Nolan. It's like you'll end up spending it somewhere. You're just not paying a good player to play for you, which is not in my mind.
I'm not even down for that argument. They could have paid him $30 million and let him opt out and leave.
Totally.
They didn't think he was going to opt out.
In my world, $50 million is still more than $30 million. So
they did not believe he was going to opt out. And if he doesn't opt out, they'd have been on the hook for paying him that for the future, and that was Dick Monfort's biggest concern.
They wouldn't have, because they would have done this exact same deal next offseason.
They would have been on the hook for having the best third baseman of all time play on their team.
That's how they view it.
Can you imagine?
They were going to have to pay him that money. It was all about not paying him the money. That's what it was about.
We know who didn't win the week. So before we move on to that, can you guys hear me again, or am I frozen?
We can hear you.
You make faces, and I'm like, oh, am I gone?
We can hear you. It's Nolan makes us make faces.
Okay. I'm getting program note. There will not be a TDSP next Friday. We'll have to move it to Thursday because I'm getting my wisdom teeth removed on Friday at Green Mountain Dental Group. We're gonna record it. You're gonna get to see my.
Now she's frozen.
Right after we went through all that.
Only on ad reads, too.
Yeah.
Only on ad reads.
Amazing. That was amazing timing.
You're back. You're back.
For how long?
I don't understand. I'm on an Ethernet cord. Anyways, we're recording the whole process. Gonna show you guys exactly what Green Mountain Dental is, the way they treat you, all that good stuff. I think I'm more nervous about being on camera while on stuff for my mouth than actually getting the procedure. So it's going to be interesting. I literally asked the doctor, I was like, am I going to be like ridiculous? Am I going to be like, there's a cat? Like something so stupid.
We need an is this real life moment from you. We need, who's your handler? Will it be RK? He needs to guide you down a path.
Your designated adult.
Yes, it is Ryan, and he will be filming it. The doctor said, Dr. Ben said it's not going to be that intense, and that the nurse then said, I'll make sure that you're not thinking that it's like the apocalypse outside. So no matter what, it's going to be an interesting time. You'll be able to watch all of that on the video coming out.
Yeah, a video will be coming out.
From Green Mountain Dental Group, I went for a checkup to see what procedures we were going to do and all that stuff. Sent me a little handwritten note in the mail thanking me for coming down. They did the same to Lindsay. They do it to every one of their patients. They're just very family owned. It feels like you're going with people that you can truly trust, and they are just really awesome people. Huge Denver sports fan, came down to the bar, was celebrating like no other. Avs and Nuggets back-to-back wins the other Friday night. So go check them out. Like I said earlier, supporting our sponsors really helps supports us. So go check out Green Mountain Dental Group, and you could get something free Sonicare toothbrush when you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam. All right, our favorite time of the week.
The least, who was the dog and who was the beast? Who's in the boat and who's up a creek? Let's see who won the week.
All right.
Just a jolt of energy in the moment.
I feel great. Every time
Feel alive. Yeah.
No.
Okay, so before we go on to this week, we're going to look back at next week or last week. And The Avs won the week for Mikko Rantanen for his dominant start to the season, 6 goals in 6 games. They won by 38% of the votes. Second place was Nikola Jokic for still being the best basketball player in the world. Third place was Michael Porter Jr. because, yeah, Mike. And then last place was Todd Helton for making the biggest jump in Hall of Fame voting. You're gonna win one of these, Drew. You will.
No, not for a very long.
Not soon, but eventually.
No,
I'm voting for Gomber. I don't care.
If I manage to come in third place anytime in the next 3 months, I'm calling that a W.
Which happens first? The St. Louis Cardinals are no longer paying Nolan Arenado in 6 years, or Drew wins a Who Won the Week. Which event occurs first?
Get on DraftKings Sportsbook and place your bets.
I actually know how Drew could win the week.
Picking another team.
No. You know who won the week? You know who did win this week? Drew Creasman won this week. Drew Creasman's been on 1,000 podcasts talking about this. He's been all over the internet. He's been given a platform like never before. We've all heard his very calming. He's been the calming guidance that we've all needed.
Liam West says
Have you been listening to the show? Not sure
Drew Creasman won the week.
Drew Creasman wins the week for dealing with this firestorm.
That doesn't even count all the just phone calls of people being like, so, how's it going?
Okay, I mean, Eric, if you want to use that as who you won your week, I think.
Oh, absolutely not. No chance. He needs to sit down with himself.
Whoa. Where's my 30 seconds?
I do not. Patience, listen to me and don't interrupt me, and maybe you get your 30 seconds. I literally was saying okay before we start and had the timer ready to go, AJ.
I feel like I know what he's going to talk about for 30 seconds.
AJ, you get 30 seconds and only 30 seconds because of the sass. Go.
In absolutely no world should MPJ be winning newcomer of the year for the Goaties.
There it is.
I was going to use this to give Drew props, but I'm pissed about this. He's been nominated 2 years in a row. That's stupid. He's not newcomer of the year. I was not going to care about this award, but you guys should be voting for anybody but MPJ. I don't care who it is. Berkey, Bard, only those 2 options. No MPJ. Newcomer of the year should be an actual newcomer. Carl Durrell is also fine.
Carl Durrell
is also fine.
MPJ, the best player available on that list. Best player available.
Eric, we'll go to you first to keep this moving along. Why did the Nuggets, or someone in the Nuggets organization, win the week?
Well, Nikola Jokic again won the week. Why? Because he won the Player of the Month in the NBA. He won Player of the Week 2 times in a row, or 2 times in the month. Just by simple math, he ended up being Best Player of the Month. The NBA understands that he won the week. The people of Denver should get on board as well. Nikola Jokic won the week for being the Player of the Month.
In the NBA.
In the NBA, exactly. That's the qualifier. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The NBA. What a ridiculous sport. The dismissive tones from you bozos is so ridiculous. The Nuggets are were the best team last year. They're one of the best teams. The Avs are probably a little bit ahead of them right now. The Nuggets are doing something they've never done before. The Rockies are in shambles. The Broncos are a goddamn
They're doing something they've never done before. Rolling over and getting waxed by the Lakers is their whole identity.
Oh my God. What about? Let's talk about the Avs being unable to field a goaltender that can stay healthy in the most important moments. They're going to get knocked out again.
They have right now. They have the guy that leads the NHL and wins and has a high save
when the
percentage.
playoffs come. Show me in the playoffs. We're not really good. The hamburger.
Muted. Drew.
Love it.
This makes me sad, Allie.
Playing the Tony Reale card.
Yeah.
Dre, we're gonna go with you. Why did whoever you want to nominate?
Thank you. It is the Colorado State Rams basketball program. Big win out of Laramie yesterday. Girls and men's both win against the Cowboys. They are just 1 game out of first place in the Mount West Division. 13-4 on the year. Exciting stuff going on in Fort Collins. Sad that we don't have fans checking it out, but look, it's an exciting time with the Avs not playing, the Nuggets really letting us down, the Rockies literally having a fire sale, and the Broncos not doing anything. Clearly the Rams win the week.
I like the part where you said it's too bad we don't have fans because that's also the Rams' identity.
Okay. People in the comments saying AJ is sassy. AJ with the fire. Oh, I told y'all before we started the show. I hadn't sent the link to join here, and AJ's like, "So are we gonna get a link or what?" I'm like, "Where is this sass from today?" Jeez.
I would call it an overload myself. And first off, Nighthawk is never, like, I've never said anything, tweeted something, been around Nighthawk where she hasn't ribbed me, chided me in some way or another. So this is just par for the course. I don't need your approval, Nighthawk.
Okay.
You like the Lakers and the Blues.
Anyways, Drew, why did you want to win the week?
Well, I'm not going to nominate myself because that would be incredibly aggrandizing. I was going to say that Breck Brew wins the week for all of the product they moved into my house, into my fridge, then into my belly, and now back into my house here very, very soon. And many Rockies fans out there, I'm sure, are doing the same thing. If you want to write that down in the poll, that those of us who did this whole thing together and are getting through somehow not in a miserable state of depression won the week, then let's go with
hold on. Drew, you're taking my Nikola
I can't
Jokic.
nominate
You're
myself.
taking my Nikola Jokic argument. I'm going to argue for Drew Creasman to win the week. Ready? Drew Creasman won the week. Why? Because the Rockies organization has never been in more shambles. Like, Rockies fans have never felt more terrible, and we've never had a more calming voice to lead us through this fire. I've watched Drew Creasman talk about the Nolan Arenado trade no less than 12 hours this week. I've talked with Drew Creasman myself for a good 2 hours about this, and you know what? I feel better every time that I talk to him. I feel better as a fan, I feel better as a human being, and I just feel good knowing that Drew Creasman is a man in my life and in all of our lives. Drew Creasman won the week.
Drew Creasman is the first responder of the Rockies community.
Absolutely.
That's true. But Rockies fans turning to alcohol and alcohol being how Drew got through the week kind of is the real winner.
But I do have to say, Drew,
I stand by Drew's nomination.
But Drew, since you took my Nikola Jokic nomination, that was a great argument you made also. I might still vote for him.
All the comments are saying Drew is the most deserving person. Liam West.
Absolutely.
Thank you all.
And Patrick. Patrick, I know you're in here too.
Yes, Drew. Yes, everyone.
I think the poll should just be 4 Drew Creasman votes.
Let's say DNVR Rockies won the week.
8 Mile
Rockies,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I can accept that. Because Patrick was also amazing this week.
Also,
made me feel good, too.
Michaela brought the thunder.
DNVR Rockies absolutely won the week.
All right.
I'm with her.
AJ, you are the last one. What?
What's that? Can we try that again?
Your time has started, AJ.
Goodness. Okay, I'm so frustrated. Why did the Avs or anyone in the Avs organization or in the week go?
I mean, I could make the argument that them going 2-0-1 against the Wild, despite all their injury issues, was a pretty good result. Obviously, the COVID cancellation kind of sucks, but I would also like to give my vote to Drew Creasman.
It's Drew Creasman.
I think Drew should get the real. He had to sit through the reason we're having the show. He had to sit through the worst trade in Denver sports history, and he's talked about it every day. We're getting ready to talk about it again in 30 minutes. It should 100% be Drew and the DNVR Rockies.
Drew and the DNVR Rockies community. And Patrick and Michaela, it's been a rough week, but I feel like these are times when you want to lean on each other the most. And we've seen that with the Rockies community coming out, listening to all the pods, being on the YouTube channel, just venting on the chats. Like, this is when you use your community the most, when there is such bad news happening, and we've really seen that. So thank you guys for always listening, hanging out, all the people who are voting for Drew. We'll make sure the poll has all Drews, so you can go vote on Twitter.
There's nothing easier in life than being a fan of a franchise when things are going well. Nothing easier. Nothing easier than people who like the Lakers or the Blues or Alabama, just to say a couple names off the top of my head that are not related.
What
are you talking about?
Go away.
I'm just saying, this is when a fan base earns its mettle. You learn to be there in the low times so that when the times are good, it feels even better. This is something you can't understand unless you are there when things are rough. And when they are rough, you need therapy. You need someone to let you know things are going to be okay. You need to have somebody that's going to remind you that tomorrow is coming. And Drew, again, thank you. Drew, I needed this week. I needed this from you.
It's true.
Since Allie froze again, we're going to give Michael a bonus shout out for Drew coming and getting really drunk on the Avs pod with us after a really fun night.
Exceptionally.
Oh yeah, we need to put Drew Creasman win the week in parentheses. Dropped M&M bars on live on the internet.
Am I back?
Yes.
You're back.
I'm really annoyed with this internet. Nighthawk says she feels attacked.
Well,
Anyways,
that's good. You are being directly attacked. You should be
I do want to state something that really cool happened to me this week. I almost hit a hole in one. Some people are saying I should hit.
Allie wins the week.
No.
Yeah.
The DNVR Rockies guys win the week, and Michaela. But I went out to the golf course, and it was my third time playing 18 holes, and it went in but bounced out because of the way the COVID holes are set up now. So I'm not counting it as a hole one, but that was freaking amazing. So that was really fun. That happened to me. I may suck at WGT golf on my phone, but I'm not as bad on the actual course.
Ooh, yeah.
So we're gonna end it with
the
that.
other way around. Definitely the other way around.
And speaking of just golf in general, stay tuned for some Big Drive Live shows on YouTube. Those are our golf guys. And then we will be bringing Drew out on the course, Eric back out on the course. We'll see Dre out on the course, AJ too, if you guys want. And we will be playing some golf and recording it. All right, AJ, I had a feeling. That's why I was like, I'll just add AJ in there just in case he wants to. But yeah, so definitely check them out on Twitter, DNVR_golf. And as always, give this show a like, a subscribe, and hit the alert button. Almost a hole in one is like almost becoming a newcomer. AJ.
Ridiculous.
Go leave a review on our iTunes or anywhere you listen to podcasts. It really helps us out. Like I said, the show will be on Thursday because I'm getting my wisdom teeth removed on Friday. And we will see you guys next week.
Ben Simmons won the Rookie of the Year, second year in the league.
You ended
it could be the almost newcomer of the year if MPJ wins it. You just have that qualifier. Almost.
Ben Simmons won the Rookie of the Year.
Newcomer-ish of the year.
Exactly. A kind newcomer.
You guys all sound like Donovan Mitchell looking for loopholes because you know you don't have the best candidate.
You guys just went rogue and stopped me from ending the show? What is this today?
I was trying to squeeze it in with before there would be no retort, but it didn't work out.
Oh my goodness. We are ending the show. Have a great Friday. Hopefully you aren't filled with such sassy people like I am right now. Go listen to the Rockies pod after this, and Big Bets Bonanza and DNVR Bets Daily. Goodbye, everyone. Let me end the show. Don't click off of it. Stop!
Tailgate is Sunday morning as well.
Wow. I can't believe it.
Do we just live here now?
I think we
I'm not touching anything. Do we just live here now?
This is you. Oh, AJ's got the guilty face on.
I have no controls.
I don't either.
I have to log out. I'm not in, so.
I wouldn't even know.
All right. We're ending the show.
See?
We live here now. The internet won't let us
our
go.
world. We're trapped forever.
This
Allie,
is
who's on the back end making
Groundhog Pod.
I'm shook. Why? Why is this not full?
This is like the opposite of that tailgate where everyone's computers were dying and Kale had to drive out and the show just went dark in the middle. This is like the opposite of that.
Can we just leave the studio and you just quit your browser or something?
I'm just gonna end it like this. All right, bye guys. Thanks for this crazy Friday.